Woman Who Chat is sponsored by Grow Radio. Grow Radio is an online radio station dedicated to bringing you a different podcast on the hour, every hour. I'm proud that Woman Who Chat is played on Grow Radio every Tuesday at 3 p.m. and Friday at 8 a.m. and to be a part of their podcasting community. If you want to listen to the station, explore their shows, check out many of the blogs to improve your podcasting skills, or get your podcast onto Grow Radio, head over to growradio.uk today. Welcome to Woman Who Chat, and today I'm chatting to Nikita Thakrar of DNC Studio. Welcome, Nikita.
Namaste. Thank you so much for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. I'm really excited about chatting to you today. And before we kick off, you basically were an award winner at the Woman Who Achieves Awards, and we're going to come on and talk about that later. We're going to hear a little bit about your story, but tell us what you do now.
So I've been running the DNC studio since 2005. So I started up when I was just 20 years old, and it was really a dream of mine to be able to offer especially children, but also now adults living in the UK of British Indian heritage, a space where they could come and learn Indian dance. So I myself was passionate about learning dance when I was a teenager, and I went over to India to do that. And I wanted to be able to create a space where people who were born and brought up in this country could come and they could learn and connect with their heritage.
That's such an important thing, going back to my heritage. I come from an Italian family, but when my grandparents came over here, my grandfather hung a Union Jack out the window, said we're British and banned the language, so we lost a lot. And I've been searching all my life. I go to Italy all the time to try and regain that. Now at 18 years old, which is quite young, you decided to up sticks. You didn't do the traditional, or what people perceive as the traditional route, and go into education, higher education. You decided to leave the country and go to somewhere completely new on your own and train for what was your passion. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so growing up, I always felt very confused. I felt like I was torn between cultures. I would go to school and we would follow British customs, and I would come home and we would do religious rituals. And I felt like I didn't know where I belonged. And this led to an identity crisis, I would say. And when I was 16, I actually took the drastic step of changing my name because I didn't feel like I connected with it. And really, my name gave me a new sense of identity. I suddenly felt like I could do anything I wanted to do. Well, Nikita could do anything she wanted to do. And I almost created this new persona that I wanted to take on the world, and I wanted to really find out who I am and where I come from. And that led me on a quest to go to India. And it was there that I found Indian dance.
So you lived there for what, 10 years studying?
Yes, I was commuting back and
Right.
forth, and I was simultaneously running my dance company here. So I was coming back and all fired up with all the new knowledge that I'd learned, and I was ready to teach and then perform as well. I was performing all over the country. I even toured Australia, and then I would go back and top up my training again.
Wow. So it's a brave thing to do, and to start a business so young, because traditionally, people go to university, they get a job. You've bucked the trend really and followed your passion. So who inspired you as a youngster to want to go? Because that's a drastic step and really very intelligent step at 16 to realize that you wanted to step into this persona that you wanted to develop. And, it's a very mature attitude. So who inspired you along your journey?
It was teachers at school that saw something in me. And, I just was at spring cleaning last weekend, and I came across a card that a teacher had written, and it said, "Dear Nikita, reach for the stars because you have what it takes." And it was little comments like that, little things that I felt actually maybe I do have something more to give to this world. And I just didn't feel like I would be able to do that by staying here. I just felt like India was calling me, and it's the best thing that I ever did. So living in India for 10 years really shaped me into who I am, because it wasn't just dance, but I was doing yoga there, I was meditating. And these were the days before smartphones, and internet. So, I had all the free time to just work on myself. I was reading books, I was writing. And so it was a real self-development journey.
Mm. And how supportive was your family and friends through this period?
My parents were quite worried about me. And as you say, it's a very big step. I was the youngest of three daughters, and they wanted me to go to university and follow the norm. They were worried about my future, especially being British Indian. Things were very different back then. There weren't as many opportunities. And, my dad said one thing to me. He said, follow your dreams because we will always be here to support you. You will never go hungry. You'll never be homeless. And I think that sort of gave me that reassurance that
Mm.
actually, at least I can try, at least I can give it a go. My relatives were saying, oh, you won't be able to have a lucrative business as a dance company. And I was saying, well, at least I can try. And I'm sure that there's something else I can fall back on if it doesn't work. But I think I wasn't even thinking that way. I was so positive.
So here we are, those decades later, and you do have a successful business. You have an award-winning business. So let's just talk a little bit about why you entered for the Woman Who Achieves Awards.
So I have actually been entering awards for the last couple of years, I would say, since the pandemic. And it's really because I was sort of longing to have some kind of recognition. The field that I'm in is very niche and it's also very small. It's only a small industry. And I was feeling like I had done a lot. I'd gone above and beyond, particularly during the pandemic, when a lot of businesses struggled. I actually managed to thrive during that time because I created online classes and I launched my podcast and I developed instructional videos for my students. So I was able to adapt and give them that continuity with their training and also a lot of sanity as well during that time. And I just felt like I needed to really be able to get the word out there that this is what I'd done, but it's not just for me. It's to really raise awareness of my dance form and also British Indians and the contribution that we're making to society.
Yeah, and Woman Who, I mean, I said this, my mission is to create more women in business role models because my belief is you can't be what you can't see. So if you can't see somebody doing something you aspire to be, if they don't look like you, if they don't sound like you, then there are no role models out there. There is nothing to aspire to be, which is why I asked you earlier, what inspired and motivated you. One good comment from a teacher can lead to so much in the future, but having those peers around you lifting you up and then being a role model to others enables people to follow your journey. And have
Yes.
you, obviously, you were a winner on the day. How did that feel? I know you were very emotional on the day.
Honestly, it was just absolutely surreal. I think when I walked into the award ceremony, you were the first person I saw, and I remember introducing myself to you at that time. And it was a very hot day, and it was right at the end that my award was announced. And because, lots of awards had happened, everybody was starting to get a bit restless. Well, I was anyway. I just kind of thought, well, I didn't get it. And I remember even texting my husband saying, well, I didn't win, but I'm going to be leaving soon. And I was just picking up my bag, sort of getting ready to go. And the final speeches were happening. And I didn't realize that there was still another award left. And that's when my name got called. And it was absolutely, like I say, surreal. It was a moment of complete relief, I would say, because it was like finally someone has seen something in me.
Yeah.
And, I think I said in my speech that I always felt like nobody believed in me. And so I made it my mission to believe in others. And when I say that, it's my students, it's, children, adults that learn yoga, it's the people that I do treatments on, it's everyone that I work with. It's about promoting that positivity and showing them that they can be more than what they are. And then in that moment, somebody had seen that in me, and it was just a great feeling.
Yeah, I try very hard throughout my awards to make everyone feel as if they're a part of the day. And that's why, such as yourself, people come on their own and they feel that they're a
Yeah.
part of something and that, people talk to them. You don't just stand there on your own. It is
Yeah.
quite a friendly environment, but I'm still working on that. I want to make sure that any woman or man walking into my very hot marquee, as it was on the day, feels welcome,
Yeah.
feels a part of it. As you saw, I managed to get every single person on
Yeah.
stage if they wanted it.
Yes.
It's a whole celebration of people's
Definitely.
achievements, but also being in the audience to be inspired by what's happening around you as well.
I mean,
But
I was quite content, even if I hadn't won. I felt like I'd got so much from the day, and not just the day, actually, the whole experience, the whole build up. A lot of awards, you just send in an application and then you go to the ceremony, and that's it. At the most, you might come away with a certificate if you don't win. But actually, what you did is you created a community, and there was a Zoom call prior to the judges' interviews, and I think that really helped to prepare me anyway. And it was the little tips that you gave, like show the judges if you've got anything, tangible. And I actually wouldn't have thought of that. So when I did go into my interview, I actually showed them my poetry book, which I've got here. So I think that did make a difference, actually having those tips and that advice. And even just before the interview, you were actually there, you were supporting, you were cheering us on. And it really felt like you were invested in each one of us.
yeah, and that I'm very grateful for your comments there, because that's what I'm trying to achieve. I want to make everyone feel important, everyone feel special. And because I don't judge my own awards, I have independent judges throughout. It means I can hold your hand. It means I can, show you the steps to take. It means I can make you feel as if you're getting value from the process. It's
Yeah.
not just getting your thoughts out on paper for the award itself, which is a great thing to do, but actually it's each step of the journey is leading you really to recognize how well you've done throughout the process, and by entering as well.
Yeah.
Now, when I read your story, I read it back, I've just refreshed my memory. You've not had a straight path at all. You had a debilitating illness that many people would have just thrown in the towel and just said, I give up. You were given, somebody said you only had 5 years, you may only have 5 years to live. So tell us a little bit about that.
So it was always my dream to have my own studio. I always wanted my own premises, and that came from me wanting to create a space where people could come and they felt like home away from home. My dance teacher in India had her own studio, and it was something that I always wanted. In 2011, I was very fortunate. A space became available, and I launched my studio. It was the proudest moment in my life up until then. But shortly after that, I mean, days after that, I started to get very ill. And, I went through a series of investigations, various scans, tests, and the doctors couldn't find out what was wrong with me. Ultimately, I had to have a surgery, a major lung surgery. And it was after that that I was diagnosed with a very serious illness. And it's something I still live with today. I was only 26 at the time, and they'd asked me not to Google the name of the condition because it's a rare disease, and they were worried that I would read things that would scare me. But me being me, I went away and I Googled it, and that's where I read, maximum life expectancy is 5 years from the time of diagnosis. And that was what really kind of propelled me to go, actually, yeah, like you said, I could have thrown the towel in, but I went the other way and I started accelerating. And I thought to myself, if I've only got 5 years, that's okay, but I want to make maximum impact. And then here I am now, 12 years later.
Well, I totally admire you for that. And the fact, your positivity, and the fact that you wanted to accelerate and, in a way, leave your legacy, leave your
Yeah.
mark. Because, how many people can say that what they've achieved to date is a legacy that will impact others in the future? And I think your story is so inspiring, and the fact, and your positivity, and the way that you've channeled your learning for the benefit of others as well. I think you should be hugely proud of that. So what's on the horizon, Nikita?
So I just mentioned my poetry book. So that's something that I've been working on all my life. I've been writing poems and I love writing. I think it's a great way of self-expression, and I encourage all our listeners and viewers, if you haven't already, to start journaling because it's such a beautiful process. And I'm working on a book at the moment. It's loosely based on my life, but also mainly to inspire people to follow their dreams. That's really my mission. It's just, you know, we all have within us natural skills, natural qualities, things that we don't have to study for, things that just come to us. And if we were to just draw on those and amalgamate those, it's so easy. Life becomes easy to just show up and to just do what we are meant to be doing and be paid for it. That's the best thing about it. I never feel like I'm working. And in Sanskrit, this is called Dharma. And in Japanese, it's called Ikigai. And it's about just finding fulfillment in everything that you do, whether it be work or hobbies or relationships or family, whatever it is. It's about just bringing that joy and that happiness into every day.
Yeah, I've been studying the Japanese Ikigai, and I'm really into it at the moment, coupled with the Blue Zone research that's going around. So, the way is that you wake up and every day you're fulfilling your passion, and it leads to longevity. It leads, if you're living your purpose and you're delivering that each and every day, it never feels like you're doing a day's work.
Yes. So yesterday I actually delivered a corporate workshop at a hotel near me, and it was all about Dharma. And it was a whole day and it was quite intensive. And when I got home, my husband said to me, "Have you had like a beauty treatment or something because your skin's glowing?" And I said, "No, I've just been doing my Dharma." And it's that thing that when you're doing what you're meant to be doing, you just light up from within. And then it looks to others like you've had a facelift or something.
I know the feeling, when I am exhausted after my awards because there's a lot of work that goes in the background as well. But I love it and I am buzzing afterwards. And it's that feeling of elation that you've
Yes.
made a difference, I think. And that's the thing for me, that you've made a difference to at least one person that was in the room. And that just lights me up. And I can see that when you're talking about what you do, your face just lights up. So I know that you're living your dream.
Yes.
So I will put all your links in the show notes, and again, a link to your poetry book as well for people that want to look at that further. I always ask my guests to leave us with a piece of advice, a top tip, or a piece of inspiration. What would yours be?
Just follow your passion, just go for it. Whatever it is in life that you want to do or you can do that comes so naturally to you, just do it. Have the courage, let go of your limiting beliefs and just go for it, because it's such a beautiful feeling. As you said, it's such an elating experience to be living in alignment with your Dharma, your Ikigai. And I just really have a vision of a world where we're all living in alignment with our life purpose.
Great note to finish on. Thank you, Nikita Thakrar,
Thank you.
DNC Studio.
Thank you.
And congratulations again on your Woman Who Achieves Award win.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. I think Nikita is truly inspirational. I just wanted to read you the judges' comments. Your business boasts impressive profitability and growth plans and serves as a beacon of inspiration to British Asian women. Your work extends beyond the studio, enriching the community with your poetry and nurturing spirit, truly embodying the power of mind over matter. Congratulations, Nikita.